Code yellow, suspicious individual in electronics. The call went out at 2:18 p.m. By 2:28 p.m., the person making that call would be unemployed. The suspicious individual? He owned the building. Marcus Williams, 42, stood quietly in front of the headphone display at Tech World, the flagship electronics store in Metropolitan Shopping Center. He wore a simple gray hoodie, dark jeans, and white sneakers, the uniform of a man trying to blend in on his Saturday afternoon off. But blending in wasn't working. For the past 5 minutes, he'd noticed the pattern. Security Officer Davis circling his section, store employees whispering behind displays, shoppers giving him sideways glances, the familiar weight of assumption pressed down on him like humidity before a storm. Before we dive into what happened next, a moment that would transform not just one mall but an entire approach to retail security, I want to ask you something. Have you ever been followed in a store just for existing? If this story hits close to home, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to see that respect isn't negotiable. Because what happens in the next 8 minutes will remind you that sometimes the person they're watching is the one watching them back. Marcus Williams hadn't planned to visit Metropolitan Shopping Center today. As CEO of Williams Retail Group, a $1.8 billion empire spanning 127 shopping centers across the East Coast, his Saturdays were usually spent reviewing expansion plans or playing golf with investors. But his 16-year-old daughter Emma had specifically requested a pair of limited edition wireless headphones for her birthday. "Dad, they're only at Tech World, and they're releasing today," she'd said over breakfast. "Please, I know you're busy," but he wasn't too busy for Emma, never would be. So here he was, dressed down in weekend clothes, no entourage, no executive assistant, no visible signs of wealth, just a father trying to make his daughter happy. The Metropolitan Shopping Center was Marcus's crown jewel, a 3-story, 2.2 million square foot complex in downtown Chicago. He'd acquired it 5 years ago when it was struggling, personally overseeing its transformation into one of the most successful malls in the Midwest. Every store lease, every security protocol, every customer service standard had his fingerprints on it. He'd walk these halls monthly, unannounced, observing how his tenants treated customers, how his security team handled situations, how his vision of retail excellence played out in real time. Today's visit wasn't planned, but it was about to become the most important one he'd ever made. Marcus approached the headphone display where a young white sales associate, Tyler, was helping another customer. He waited patiently, scrolling through his phone to check the product specs Emma had sent him. That's when he first noticed Security Officer Davis, a middle-aged white man with a stern expression and the kind of swagger that came from years of unchecked authority. Positioning himself near the store entrance, eyes locked on Marcus. Marcus had seen this dance before. At 25, fresh out of business school, he'd been followed through a department store in Atlanta while shopping for interview suits. The security guard had been so obvious about it that other customers started staring. Marcus had left without buying anything, but he'd return the next week as the store's new district manager. That experience had taught him 2 things. Bias was everywhere in retail, and the best way to fight it was from the inside. Tyler finished with his customer and approached Marcus with a professional smile. "Can I help you find something?" "Looking for the new AirPods Pro, the limited edition ones that released today," Marcus said. Tyler's smile flickered slightly as he took in Marcus's casual appearance. "Those are pretty expensive. Are you sure you're looking for those specific ones?" The question hung in the air like smoke. Marcus had heard variations of it his entire career. "Are you sure you can afford this? Do you have financing options? Maybe we should look at something more in your price range." "I'm sure," Marcus replied calmly. Tyler nodded reluctantly and walked to the secure display case. As he unlocked it, Marcus noticed Officer Davis had moved closer, now standing just outside Tech World's entrance, speaking quietly into his radio. "Here they are," Tyler said, holding up the sleek package. "They're $3.99, and we only accept cash or credit card, no payment plans." Marcus pulled out his Black American Express Centurion card, the card that had no preset spending limit and required a $10,000 annual fee just to own. Tyler's eyes widened slightly as he took it. I'll just need to run this through our verification system, Tyler said, his voice uncertain. Sometimes these high-end cards need extra authentication. As Tyler walked to the register, Marcus watched Officer Davis speaking more urgently into his radio. Through the store's glass windows, he could see another security officer approaching from the food court. The pattern was escalating. Tyler returned from the register, his face flushed. "Sir, there seems to be an issue with your card. Our system is showing it might be problematic. I'm going to need to see some additional identification." Marcus looked at Tyler steadily. "Problematic how?" "Well, sometimes people use cards that aren't theirs or—" Tyler's voice trailed off as he realized what he was implying. "You think I stole this credit card," Marcus said quietly. "I didn't say that," Tyler backpedaled quickly. "It's just store policy for high-value transactions." Marcus pulled out his driver's license, Illinois State, clear photo, matching name on the card. Tyler examined it like he was studying ancient hieroglyphics. "Marcus Williams," Tyler read aloud. "Okay, that matches, but—" He looked toward Officer Davis, who was now standing just inside the store entrance. "Davis, could you come here for a minute?" Officer Davis approached with the kind of authority that suggested he enjoyed this part of his job. "What's the situation, Tyler?" "This gentleman is trying to make a large purchase, and I just want to make sure everything's legitimate." Davis looked Marcus up and down, taking in the hoodie, the jeans, the calm expression. "Sir, we've had reports of suspicious activity in this area. I'm going to need you to step outside so we can have a conversation." Marcus didn't move. "What kind of suspicious activity?" "People trying to use stolen credit cards, fraudulent purchases, that sort of thing." Davis's hand rested casually on his radio. "It's nothing personal, just routine." "Routine for whom?" Marcus asked. Davis's eyes narrowed. "Sir, I'm asking you nicely to step outside. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Around them, other shoppers began to notice the commotion. A young black mother with her 2 children moved away from the store entrance. An elderly white couple whispered to each other while staring. A teenage girl started recording with her phone from behind a display of phone cases. "I'm shopping for my daughter," Marcus said calmly. "I have a valid ID, a valid credit card, and I haven't done anything wrong." "Look," Davis said, his voice rising slightly. "I don't know what game you're playing, but dressed like that, carrying a card like that, it doesn't add up. Now either you come with me willingly or I'll have to call for backup." Tyler stepped back from the register, clearly uncomfortable but unwilling to intervene. "Maybe we should just call your manager," Marcus said to Tyler, his voice still calm but carrying a new edge of authority. "Call your district manager. Better yet, call your regional director." Tyler blinked. Why would I need to call them?" "Because this conversation is about to get very expensive for everyone involved." Officer Davis keyed his radio. "This is Davis. I need backup in tech world. Uncooperative individual, possible fraud situation." Within minutes, Officer Martinez arrived, a younger Hispanic man who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Behind him came store manager Jennifer Walsh, a nervous woman in her 30s who'd clearly been pulled away from something important. "What's going on here?" Jennifer asked, looking between Marcus and the security officers. "This individual is attempting to make a fraudulent purchase," Davis explained. "High-end merchandise, suspicious card, doesn't fit the typical customer profile." Marcus turned to Jennifer. "Ms. Walsh, how long have you been manager of this Tech World location?" Jennifer looked surprised by the question. 3 years? Why? And in those 3 years, have you been trained on the Williams Retail Group's anti-discrimination policies?" Jennifer's face went pale. "The what policies?" "Williams Retail Group owns this mall," Marcus continued. "Every store here operates under our corporate guidelines, which specifically prohibit customer profiling based on appearance, race, or perceived economic status. Are you familiar with those guidelines?" Davis interrupted. "Sir, I don't care who owns what. You're creating a disturbance, and I need you to leave the premises." Marcus pulled out his phone and dialed a number. Security, this is Marcus. I need you to pull the surveillance footage from Tech World. Timestamp starting at 2:15 p.m. today. On the other end, Security Director Sarah Chen's voice was crisp and immediate. Mr. Williams, where are you? Are you okay? I'm in Tech World and I'm being detained by mall security for shopping while black. I need a full incident report and I need it now. The effect was immediate. Jennifer's face went white. Officer Martinez took a step back. Even Tyler, still standing behind the register with Marcus's credit card, looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. But Officer Davis wasn't backing down. I don't care who you think you are or who you think you're calling. You're leaving this store now. Marcus looked at him calmly. Officer Davis, in about 30 seconds, you're going to receive a call from your supervisor. When you answer that call, your employment with Williams Retail Group Security will be terminated. The only question is whether you make this worse for yourself in the next 30 seconds. As if on cue, Davis's radio crackled to life. Davis, this is command. Return to base immediately. Code Black Protocol. Davis's confident expression faltered. Command, I'm handling a situation. Negative. Return to base now. Bring Martinez with you. Marcus ended his call and looked around the small crowd that had gathered. Shoppers with phones raised, store employees whispering, security officers with uncertain expressions. Miss Walsh, he said, turning back to the store manager, I'd like to complete my purchase now. Jennifer nodded quickly, practically running to the register. Of course, Mr. Williams. Tyler, process the transaction immediately. Tyler, still holding Marcus's black card, like it might explode, swiped it with shaking hands. The transaction went through instantly, no verification needed, no additional questions asked. As Marcus waited for his receipt, Officer Davis made one final attempt to assert authority. This isn't over. I'm filing a report about your behavior. Marcus turned to face him fully. Officer Davis, my name is Marcus Williams. I'm the CEO and majority owner of Williams Retail Group. This mall, this store, your paycheck, it all comes from companies I built. For the past 10 minutes, you've harassed me, profiled me, and threatened me in my own property for the crime of shopping while black. The words hit the gathering crowd like a physical force. The teenage girl with the phone gasped audibly. The elderly couple exchanged shocked glances. Even the young mother with her children had returned to watch from a safe distance. That's impossible, Davis said. But his voice had lost its confidence. You're lying, Marcus smiled, not with humor, but with the quiet satisfaction of someone who'd been underestimated his entire life. Jennifer, please call corporate security and ask them to confirm my identity. Then call legal and ask them to prepare termination paperwork for any employee involved in today's incident. Jennifer's hands trembled as she reached for her phone. Right away, Mr. Williams. Officer Martinez, Marcus continued. You arrived as backup, but you didn't participate in the profiling. You showed restraint and professionalism. You'll be reassigned to a different location with a commendation. Martinez nodded gratefully. Thank you, sir. I knew something didn't feel right about this. And Tyler, Marcus turned to the sales associate who was still frozen behind the register. You asked me if I was sure I could afford a $399 purchase. Then you questioned my credit card. Then you called security because you couldn't believe a black man in casual clothes belonged in your store. Do you have anything to say about that? Tyler's voice came out as barely a whisper. I'm sorry. I didn't mean. It's just that we've been trained to watch for what? Marcus asked gently. Black customers. Customers who don't dress the way you think wealthy people should dress. Customers who don't fit your assumptions about who belongs in a high-end electronics store. Tyler couldn't answer. Marcus pulled out his receipt and the bag containing Emma's headphones. Ms. Walsh, I'll need a complete report on your store's customer service training protocols. I'll also need to review every security incident from the past 6 months where customers were detained or questioned. If I find a pattern of discrimination, this location will lose its lease." Jennifer nodded frantically. "Yes, sir, absolutely, whatever you need." And Officer Davis. Marcus saved the worst for last. "Your employment is terminated effective immediately. Your access card is deactivated, your locker will be cleared out for you, and you're banned from all Williams Retail Group properties. Security will escort you out." Davis's face had gone from confident to confused to angry to defeated in the span of 10 minutes. "You can't just... This is discrimination against me. This is consequences," Marcus said simply. "For 10 years I've received complaints about security profiling in my malls. For 10 years I've implemented training programs, diversity initiatives, and clear anti-discrimination policies. Today I discovered that some of my employees have been ignoring those policies and harassing my customers based on their appearance." Marcus looked around at the crowd, many of whom were still recording. "To everyone watching this, sharing this, posting this, I want you to know that what happened here today is unacceptable. No customer should ever be made to feel unwelcome in our stores because of their race, their clothing, or their appearance. This incident will lead to company-wide changes in how we train our security staff and how we handle customer interactions." As mall security arrived to escort Officer Davis out, Marcus remained in Tech World to address the growing crowd of onlookers. What had started as a simple shopping trip had turned into an impromptu press conference in the middle of his own mall. "I know many of you are filming this," Marcus said, his voice carrying clearly through the store. "I want you to share it. I want people to see what bias looks like in retail, and I want them to see what accountability looks like when bias is exposed." A young woman in the crowd raised her hand. "Mr. Williams, how often does this happen to you?" Marcus considered the question. More than it should, less than it used to, but the question isn't how often it happens to me. It's how often it happens to customers who don't own the store they're shopping in, customers who don't have the power to fire the people discriminating against them. Those are the people I'm thinking about today." An older black man stepped forward. "My grandson got followed around this mall last month. Security said he looked suspicious. He's 14 years old." Marcus's jaw tightened. "What's your grandson's name?" Malik Johnson." Marcus pulled out his phone and made a note. "I'll personally review that incident. If our security profiled your grandson, there will be consequences. And I'll make sure he receives a personal apology." Jennifer Walsh, still shaken by the revelation, approached Marcus hesitantly. "Mr. Williams, what should I tell my staff about today?" Marcus turned to her. "Tell them that customer service isn't about serving customers who look like they can afford your products. It's about serving every customer with dignity and respect. Tell them that bias isn't just wrong, it's bad for business. And tell them that I'll be conducting unannounced visits to ensure these changes are implemented." As the crowd began to disperse, many shoppers approached Marcus personally. Some shared their own experiences with discrimination in retail. Others simply thanked him for standing up for dignity and customer service. One young black woman with tears in her eyes said, "I've been followed in stores my whole life. I thought it was just normal." Marcus shook his head. "It's common, but it's not normal. And it's not acceptable. Change starts with people refusing to accept what's unacceptable." Tyler, the sales associate who had started the whole incident, approached Marcus as he prepared to leave. "Mr. Williams, I know I messed up. I know sorry isn't enough, but is there anything I can do to make this right?" Marcus studied the young man's face. "Tyler, how old are you?" 23, sir." "You're young enough to learn from this. Old enough to know better. I'm not going to fire you, but you're going to attend every diversity training session we offer for the next year. You're going to learn about unconscious bias, customer service excellence, and what equality in retail actually looks like. Can you commit to that?" Tyler nodded eagerly. "Yes, sir. I want to learn. I never realized that my assumptions were so obvious." "Assumptions are learned," Marcus said. "They can be unlearned too." 3 hours later, Marcus arrived home to find Emma waiting eagerly by the door. "Did you get them? Did you get the headphones?" He handed her the bag with a smile. "I got them, but I also got something else." "What?" "A reminder that respect isn't something you earn by showing your bank account. It's something you deserve by being human. Emma looked confused. Dad, that's deep for a Saturday afternoon. Did something happen? Marcus hugged his daughter. Something always happens when you're black in America, sweetheart. But today, something different happened. Today there were consequences. Within 24 hours, Marcus's encounter at Tech World had been viewed over 2 million times across social media platforms. The hashtag #RespectEveryCustomer was trending. News outlets were requesting interviews. Other mall owners were reaching out to learn about Williams Retail Group's anti-discrimination policies. But the real change happened quietly, behind the scenes. Marcus implemented new protocols requiring all security personnel to undergo monthly bias training. He established an anonymous complaint system for customers who experienced discrimination. He mandated that every store manager attend quarterly workshops on inclusive customer service. 6 months later, Metropolitan Shopping Center became the first mall in the country to receive a National Retail Federation's Excellence in Customer Equity Award. More importantly, customer complaints about discriminatory treatment dropped by 89%. Officer Davis never worked in retail security again. His termination became a case study in corporate accountability programs across the industry. Tyler completed his diversity training and was promoted to assistant manager. He often shared his story with new employees as an example of how unconscious bias could destroy customer relationships. And Emma? She loved her headphones, but she loved the story behind them even more.